Everything you've ever imagined, every quiet whisper of desire, every sacred longing, every hope you buried in the silence of your heart is not lost. It was never overlooked. From the moment you felt it real, from the instant you dared to believe even slightly in the possibility, your blessing was set in motion. You may not see it with your physical eyes yet, but you are walking through the in-between, and this in-between is sacred. It's where reality catches up with what you have already dared to accept. You must understand this. The world you see is just the shadow of your inner assumption, the echo of what you once believed. If you look around and see contradiction, do not fear, do not question. The contradiction is proof that the shift has already occurred inside of you. And now the old must fall apart. It must unravel so that the new can rise. Do not beg, do not chase. You are not here to struggle for what is already yours. Instead, be still, enter the silence, and touch the feeling of your fulfilled desire, not as someone hoping, but as one who knows. The moment you accept the reality of your blessing internally, without needing evidence, it begins to bloom in the unseen. And from there, all of life begins to organize around your declaration. Events are set in motion, conversations are scheduled, people are moved, circumstances align, not by your effort, but by your acceptance. You are not forgotten, you are not behind, you are not late. Everything is lining up. Even the delays were preparation, even the heartbreaks were redirections, even the closed doors were divine protection. The blessing is not waiting on you to be more. It is only waiting on you to agree that you already are. Stop doubting. Stop checking the clock. Stop asking when. The moment you chose to believe, it began. Your blessing is now, not tomorrow, not next week. It is now, pressing toward you, racing to meet you, wrapped in the disguise of ordinary moments. Your only work is to remain faithful to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That is your prayer, that is your power, that is how you command the unseen to become seen. So walk with confidence, act from the end, speak from the place where it is already done, and most importantly, rest. Rest in the knowledge that it is finished. Everything is lining up, your blessing is already in motion, and nothing can stop what was promised to your spirit. Everything begins within. Long before you touch it, see it, or experience it in your outer world, it was first shaped by the quiet power of your inner world. And the tool that crafts this inner world is imagination. You are not a passive observer in life. You are a creator, a builder, a divine architect. And your imagination is the tool through which you draft the blueprint of your reality. The life you are currently living, every detail, every relationship, every struggle, every blessing, was first born in imagination, either consciously or unconsciously. Most people believe the outer world dictates the inner world, that circumstances determine emotion, that what they see decides what they feel. But that is the path of the unaware. The awakened soul understands a sacred truth. It is what you feel within that gives birth to what you eventually see without. Think for a moment about a blueprint for a home. It doesn't look like much at first, just lines, sketches, symbols, but to the trained eye, it holds a vision. The builders take that image and step by step turn it into form. The house you walk into months later already existed in invisible lines before a single brick was laid. Imagination works the same way. When you imagine yourself successful, free, loved, healthy, joyful, and believe it as your truth now, you are writing the plans. You are instructing the outer world on what to build. You are handing the universe a design, and life begins construction the moment you feel it to be real. But here's the key. You must live in the blueprint before it exists in the flesh. You must act from the knowing that what you imagined is not a fantasy, it is a preview. It is not a dream to chase, it is a reality to accept. Most people sabotage their blueprint. They imagine abundance, then speak of lack. They see love in their mind, then fear rejection in their heart. They touch the vision in silence, then undo it by doubting in the noise. To live this truth, you must be loyal to the unseen. You must choose your inner vision over your outer evidence. For a time, your current world may look unchanged. That is not failure, it is the fading echo of the past blueprint. Give it time. Life needs space to rearrange. Walls need to be torn down. Old structures must fall so that the new may rise. And in that waiting, you must hold the vision. You must live with the knowing that what you imagined is real now. Let your words reflect it. Let your walk reflect it. Let your choices reflect it. When doubt whispers, return to the blueprint. When fear rises, close your eyes and see what you've chosen to believe. You are not imagining to escape reality, you are imagining to create it. Every great breakthrough, every invention, every masterpiece the world has ever seen began in imagination. The mind saw it long before the eyes did. So go boldly within, shape your world in thought, feel it fully, believe it completely, speak it gently, and release it faithfully. Today, the outer world has no choice. It must follow the inner pattern. Life does not resist the one who holds steady to the design. So craft your blueprint with intention. Sketch your future with clarity. Build in your inner world what you want to see in the outer. For imagination is not a daydream. It is divine instruction. There is a sacred order to all things, and that order always begins in the unseen. What you are longing for, praying for, working toward, it does not arrive first in your outer world. It begins in the invisible. The invisible always moves first. This is the truth many fail to understand. They search for signs. They scan their environment for proof. They measure progress by what they can touch, hear, or see. But the real movement, the true shift, happens long before the physical evidence ever shows. Imagine planting a seed in the earth. For days, maybe weeks, there is nothing visible on the surface. The soil looks unchanged. To the untrained eye, it appears as if nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, the seed is splitting, reaching, growing, roots are forming. Life is taking shape. The silence above hides the miracle below. So it is with your blessing. Once you claim your desire in faith, once you feel it as true within your inner world, the process begins. Forces are activated, energy is gathered, alignments are put into place, people are guided, doors are readied, and divine timing is arranged. But all of this happens in the invisible. You may not hear the footsteps of your answered prayer, but it is walking toward you. You may not see the shape of your healing, your abundance, your breakthrough, but it is already real in the unseen. To doubt because you don't yet see is to dig up the seed because it hasn't sprouted. The visible is always the last to arrive. The invisible does the heavy lifting. It prepares, aligns, and orchestrates what your physical eyes will soon witness. This is why faith is not blind, it is visionary. It is the ability to walk in certainty while others are still asking for proof. It is the quiet knowing that your blessing is not pending, it is progressing. But here is what most miss. Your job is not to force the visible, it is to remain faithful to the invisible. Do not let the appearance of nothing happening fool you. Life is working for you behind the curtain. What you see as silence is actually strategy. What you feel as delay is divine preparation. You must continue walking, not with your eyes, but with your heart. Keep the feeling alive. Speak as if it's done. Move as if it's here. Think as if you've already received. This is how you stay aligned with what's being prepared for you. Do not speak against it. Do not undo the invisible work with visible doubt. The shift has already occurred. The moment you imagined it and believed it, the wheels began to turn. The moment you said yes in your spirit, creation said yes in return. You are not waiting on the blessing. The blessing is waiting for you to stay in agreement with it. Let this be your confidence that though you cannot yet see it, it has already begun. Though you may not feel the change around you, the vibration has already shifted within you. And that inner shift guarantees the outer manifestation. Your words may not yet echo in the world, but they have been heard in the unseen. Your faith may seem silent, but it has moved mountains behind the veil. So stay steady, trust the process, praise before you see, rejoice before it's visible. Because in the invisible, your name has already been called, your path has already been cleared, your blessing has already left heaven and is now route to your life. You've been taught to wait for outer confirmation before you celebrate. You've been told to hold your joy until the bank account rises, the relationship appears, the healing is visible. But that teaching is backward. That is the way of the world, not the way of creation. Creation happens in feeling. The moment you feel the truth of your desire fulfilled, you have entered the state of receiving. That is the true receiving. Not when it arrives in physical form, but when it arrives in your emotional world. When your inner being says it is done, that is when the blessing is truly yours. Most people think they are waiting, but in truth, they are delaying. Why? Because they postpone the feeling of fulfillment. They treat the feeling like a reward for evidence instead of understanding that the feeling is the evidence. If you only feel wealthy once money appears, you're bound to stay in lack. If you only feel loved once someone validates you, you will continue to chase. If you only feel healed once the report changes, you will remain sick in spirit. But the moment you feel as though it's already yours, before it arrives, you call it into your life. That is not imagination, that is alignment. Everything in this universe responds to your state of being, and your state of being is governed by your feelings. If you feel abundance, you are abundant. If you feel whole, you are healed. If you feel chosen, you are already loved. You may ask, but how can I feel something that isn't real yet? And the answer is this: it is real the moment you feel it. You must remember, your outer world is always catching up to your inner conviction. The delay is not because the universe is testing you. The delay exists only because you are testing yourself, oscillating between belief and doubt, between fulfillment and lack, between receiving and reaching. Stop treating fulfillment as something that lives on the other side of manifestation. Fulfillment must come before the manifestation. It is the signal, the vibration, the key that unlocks the door. So go into the silence, close your eyes, detach from what your five senses say, and enter what your heart knows. Begin to feel what it would be like if your desire had already come to pass. Speak from it, breathe in it, smile in it, walk in it. Stay there long enough and you will notice a change. Peace will replace striving. Joy will replace anxiety. Gratitude will rise without condition. This is the shift. This is the proof. And when you can return to that inner state repeatedly, regardless of what's happening around you, then know this: you have received it in full. The outer form is on its way, pulled by the magnet of your certainty. You are not pretending. You are not fooling yourself. You are not playing games with your mind. You are training your being to align with what is already yours in the unseen. The world will say, I'll believe it when I see it. But the soul says, I'll see it because I've already felt it. So, stop waiting for proof. Stop begging for signs. The moment you can feel it is done, you are no longer waiting, you are receiving. Feeling is not preparation, feeling is participation in the promise. And when you feel it fully, you have already arrived. To the impatient eye, delay looks like failure. To the ego, delay feels like punishment. But to the awakened mind, delay is understood as divine positioning. When something in your life feels paused, when your manifestation appears stuck, when doors stay closed longer than expected, when answers seem silent, it is not rejection. It is not the universe turning away. It is the universe aligning every detail with precision. Delay is not the end. It's the setup. You are not being denied your blessing. You are being prepared to hold it. You see, your desire was heard the moment it was felt. You don't need to repeat it over and over as if heaven is hard of hearing. Creation began the instant you dared to believe. But because you cannot always see the invisible movements, you mistake silence for absence, stillness for loss, and waiting for punishment. It is none of those things. Imagine a skilled conductor preparing an orchestra. Every instrument must be tuned. Every player must be in place. The timing, the harmony, the rhythm. Everything must align so that when the first note is played, it is not noise but music. So it is with your life. The people who are meant to meet you, they are being shaped. The resources you need, they are being positioned. The opportunity you seek, it is being woven into the perfect moment. Not for your convenience, but for your growth. Because a blessing given too soon can become a burden. If you receive something before you are ready, before your mind can hold it, before your soul is expanded enough to contain it, you will sabotage it. The universe is not cruel, it is careful. It will never give you something meant to elevate you if you are not yet standing in the awareness to receive it properly. So the delay is mercy. The delay is wisdom. The delay is protection. It is not punishment. It is not silence. It is not no. It is not yet. And not yet is sacred. In this space of not yet, you are becoming the version of yourself who will not just touch the blessing but thrive within it. This is where your strength is formed, where your faith is tested and fortified, where your inner world is expanded enough to hold the new life you asked for. You must stop interpreting waiting as failure. You are not waiting on the blessing. The blessing is waiting on your readiness. So use the delay wisely. Don't curse it, don't rush it, don't fight it. Instead, grow within it. Refine your vision, strengthen your mind, deepen your belief, build your foundation so that when the breakthrough arrives, you will not just see it, you will sustain it. Sometimes your blessing is just behind one final act of faith, one final moment where you choose to trust even when nothing makes sense. And when it arrives, and it will arrive, you will see why it took the time it did. You will understand the timing, you will thank the delay. You will look back and say, I wasn't being denied, I was being positioned for something greater than I imagined. Let this be your truth. Delay is never denial. Every pause holds purpose. Every waiting room is an anointing room. Every quiet season is fertile soil where the roots of your destiny grow deeper. So do not fear the delay. Bless it. Respect it. Use it. For what seems paused is only being perfectly positioned, and what is positioned in the unseen will arrive in the seen, exactly when it is meant to. Everything you are experiencing in this moment, every condition, every relationship, every circumstance, is not a reflection of who you are right now. It is a residue, a fading echo of who you used to be. what you used to believe, and what you used to expect. Life reflects consciousness, but not always instantly. Just like sound bounces off walls even after the voices stop speaking, your life continues to echo the beliefs you once held, long after you've outgrown them. So don't panic when what you see contradicts what you now know. Don't doubt your power just because the world around you hasn't caught up to your inner transformation. You are walking through the last ripple of a reality you've already changed. This is why staying focused is sacred. When you shift your inner state, when you declare a new assumption, when you accept a new vision, when you feel the new truth is already real, you send a new signal into the unseen. You have spoken into the silence. But for a time, the echo of your old beliefs may still ring around you. That's not failure, that's not resistance, that's just the old reality dissolving. But here is the test. Will you respond to the echo, or will you stay loyal to the declaration? You must train yourself not to react to appearances. The current situation is old news. It is a playback of expired assumptions. What you see is not what is, but what was. You are not bound to it. You are not defined by it. You are only walking through it. Let's be clear. This is not delusion. This is creation. You are not ignoring facts. You are choosing truth. You are choosing to live from the end rather than fall into fear. You are choosing to stand in the vibration of the future, not the ruins of the past. When the echo tries to distract you, when things go wrong, when people act out, when delay lingers, remind yourself, this is not mine. This is an old signal returning. I no longer claim this. And return your mind to what you've declared. Hold the vision. Hold it when it's easy, and especially when it's not. Hold it when the world agrees with you, and more importantly, when it doesn't. Because the world isn't the cause, it's the effect. Your inner state is the only thing that matters. It is the only thing that creates. This is where the power lies, not in fixing the outside, but in mastering the inside. Not in fighting the echo, but in reinforcing the truth. You don't have to silence the echo. You just have to stop obeying it. Ignore the noise, refuse the fear, speak your new reality louder than the echo of your old one. Say it again. I am already blessed. I am already aligned. I am already chosen. I am already whole. And say it not as wishful thinking, but as absolute truth, as law. Because when you persist in that declaration, the echo fades, the old dissolves, the shadows vanish. And your outer world begins to rearrange itself to match the new signal you are steadily sending. So if things feel stuck, chaotic, or confusing, breathe. You're not lost. You're just walking through the final echoes of an expired vibration. Stay faithful to what you have declared. Keep your eyes on the inner world. Keep your heart anchored in the vision. The real shift has already happened. The outer world is just catching up. The echo is temporary, but the word you've spoken into creation is eternal. Assumption is not just a thought. It is not merely a passing wish or a temporary hope. It is the seed of creation. It is the belief you accept as true even before there's any evidence. And once planted firmly in your consciousness, everything in your world begins to obey it. The law is simple. What you assume to be true, consistently and without wavering, will harden into fact. The world around you, what you call reality, is not fixed. It is pliable, flexible, obedient. It does not act with free will. It mirrors. It listens to your inner conviction and it organizes itself accordingly. Not occasionally, Always. You may not realize it, but your life is a living reflection of the assumptions you've carried about money, love, health, worth, and possibility. These assumptions live beneath your words. They speak through your energy. They shape your expectations and your experiences. If you assume you're always overlooked, life delivers people and situations that confirm it. If you assume you're deeply loved and favored, the world will rise to reflect that too. It is not magic, it is law. And here's the miracle: you get to choose the seed. The seed you plant is the belief you feed, and the one you feed, you live. Most people water seeds of doubt, limitation, and fear, then weep when those are the fruits they harvest. But the wise know that to change the fruit, you must change the root. You must dare to assume differently, even when it contradicts your past, even when it defies your current circumstances, even when your senses scream the opposite. You must remain loyal to the new assumption. You do not wait for proof. You become the proof. Say to yourself, I am worthy, I am successful, I am chosen, I am safe, I am wealthy, I am loved. And don't just say it, assume it. Make it the core of your identity. Let it be the lens through which you see everything. You may ask, but what if I don't see results? That question itself reveals your inner allegiance. Because when an assumption is truly accepted, you no longer look for evidence, you expect it. You live as though it already is. You walk differently, you speak differently, you react differently, and slowly the world bends to meet you there. There may be a delay, but never mistake delay for disobedience. Life is adjusting, rearranging, aligning to match what you've dared to believe. Your assumption is the command. Life is the servant, but only when you hold steady. If you abandon the new belief at the first sign of challenge, you uproot the seed. But if you persist, if you hold the assumption with quiet confidence, regardless of appearances, the results are inevitable. Everything, people, opportunities, outcomes, obeys the assumption you refuse to let go of. You don't chase, you don't force, you align. And in that alignment, everything changes. So plant wisely, choose powerfully, assume boldly, let the seed be, it is already mine, and live from that place, not as a performance, but as your truth, because once the seed of assumption is planted and protected, life has no choice but to bear fruit in its image. You were never meant to chase life, only to align with it. What you imagine, what you feel, what you assume, these are not empty acts. They are the blueprint, the motion, the command. Everything is already in progress, even when you don't see it, even when it feels silent. The invisible has moved. The delays you feared were only sacred pauses, giving time for the unseen to arrange the visible. The contradictions you face were merely echoes of old beliefs, fading out as your new truth rises. Hold the vision, trust the blueprint, anchor yourself in the fulfilled feeling, assume the best, and do not let go. Because life is not resisting you, it is responding to you. And everything is lining up. Your blessing has already been set in motion. And no force on earth can stop what has been faithfully declared and emotionally claimed. So walk in faith, speak from fulfillment, and rest in the knowing it is already done. Thank you for listening. Keep the vision alive. Stay aligned, and remember, your reality is always becoming what you believe it to be. Close your eyes, if only for a moment. Imagine holding the very thing you long for. The love, the wealth, the peace, the success. You feel it, don't you? That quiet whisper within, telling you it is already done. That is not fantasy, it is truth unwrapped. By faith, You were never chasing something outside of you. The world would have you believe you must strive, suffer, beg, or compete. But I tell you this, the winning ticket is already yours. You are not waiting to be chosen, you have already won. How do you claim it? By saying this, it is done. I have it now, not tomorrow, not when the circumstances look right. Now. The moment you speak from the end, you break the illusion of lack. You stop trying to become and instead you begin to be. That is the power you were born with. Not to beg life for scraps, but to speak life into your vision. Say it again. It is done. I have it now. Let the words be more than sound. Let them burn through doubt. Let them become your inner atmosphere. You are not asking, you are declaring. And what you declare with feeling becomes form. Do not check the outer world for evidence. Do not wait for confirmation. The outer world is a delayed reflection of your inner conviction. What you feel now, you meet later. So feel it now, feel it fully, and watch what happens. Walk, speak, breathe as though the prize is already yours. Because it is. And whenever fear creeps in, say it once more, it is done. I have it now. That, my friend, is the key. That is the code that unlocks every door. You are not hoping, you are knowing. You are not wishing, you are claiming. And nothing can stop the one who remembers this truth. The winning ticket is already yours. Just say this. You may believe your desire is something you must reach for, something distant and separate from you, a relationship, a home, a sum of money, a new identity. But that idea is false. What you truly long for is not somewhere out there waiting to be found. It is already within you, fully formed in the invisible realm of imagination, waiting for your recognition. The moment you desire something, it is evidence that it already exists within you. Desire is never born from absence, it is born from presence. You feel the longing, not because you are empty, but because life is calling you to remember what is already yours. The dream isn't chasing you, nor are you chasing it. You are awakening to the truth that you are the vessel in which the desire already lives. You don't need to seek outside validation or external proof to confirm it. You need only to recognize that to want is to already have, in seed form, and that your acknowledgement is what brings it into bloom. Imagine this. When you plant a seed in the soil, you do not question whether the tree will grow. You water it, you care for it, and you trust the process. So it is with your desire. The moment it was born in your heart, it was planted within your consciousness. But unlike the tree, it does not need time or space to exist. It requires your inner agreement, your assumption, your feeling that it already is. That is the profound mystery. The outer world is simply a reflection of your inner state. You may think the world is hard, resistant, slow, but it is only mirroring what you accept as true. When you walk around believing your desires are separate from you, the world will confirm your belief. It must. But if you dare to believe that you already possess what you seek, then your world must rearrange to match that assumption. This is not philosophy, this is spiritual law. Those people wait for conditions to change before they feel different. They wait for the relationship before they feel loved. They wait for the money before they feel abundant. But this is like waiting for a mirror to smile before you do. You must smile first. You must feel first. You must own the inner truth long before the outer confirms it. So when you say, I desire this, shift it immediately to this is already mine, not in arrogance or delusion, but in quiet confidence. Feel the reality of it. Taste it. Walk through the world as though it's done, because in your imagination, the true creative power, it is done. And when you live from that end, the end will begin to unfold around you. This is why no effort in the physical world can replace the power of inner knowing. You could toil for years and never achieve what you long for. Or you could sit quietly, close your eyes, and feel the wish fulfilled. And the world will move in strange and wonderful ways to match your vision. Not because you're lucky, but because you finally understood you are not separate from what you seek. You are one with it. Let go of chasing. Let go of waiting. Let go of believing that your desire is something outside of you. It is not. It has never been. It is yours now. Feel it, claim it, and walk in the knowing that your life is simply catching up to the truth already alive in you. You already possess what you seek. Always have, always will. Everything you see around you, every structure, invention, success, and failure, began in imagination. Before it became tangible, it lived in the unseen. Someone imagined it. Someone dared to believe in what had not yet appeared, and the world simply caught up to that inner conviction. This is the great secret. Imagination is not a fantasy or daydreaming. It is the root of reality. It is the workshop of creation. It is the truth behind everything that exists. We are taught to believe in what we can touch, measure, and prove. We place all our faith in the visible world. But the visible world is only an effect. It is not the cause. The true cause is within, always. Imagination precedes form. Nothing appears in your world that you have not first entertained in some form within your consciousness. Whether by intention or by default, your imagination is always at work. The question is not whether you are using it, but whether you are using it wisely. Look closely at your life. The relationships, the circumstances, the financial state, the career path, none of it is random. All of it mirrors what you have accepted as true in the depths of your mind. If you have imagined lack, if you have accepted limitation, if you have consistently felt unworthy, then the outer world will faithfully reflect that back to you. It must. That is the law. But here is the power. If you can imagine something vividly, feel it deeply, and accept it as already true, then it must outpicture itself. It may not happen in the way you expect or according to the clock you follow, but it will unfold, often in ways more perfect than your logic could plan. The world has no choice but to rearrange itself according to the blueprint you hold within. You are not a prisoner of what is, you are the author of what will be. What you hold in imagination, what you give your attention to, what you emotionally accept as true, becomes your lived experience. If you want to change your life, you must first change your imagination. Not with wishful thinking or empty hoping, but with inner acceptance. The deep, quiet knowing that what you imagine is. This is not about pretending, it is about assuming. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must walk, talk, and feel from the place of already having. When you do this in imagination, consistently and confidently, the world begins to shift. Doors open, people appear, circumstances bend. Why? Because imagination has rewritten the script, and reality is merely playing its part. Most people use their imagination to rehearse failure, to dwell on fear, to relive pain. They imagine being rejected, ignored, or defeated, and then wonder why their lives echo those very experiences. But you can reverse this. You can imagine being celebrated, successful, loved, healed. And if you persist in that inner vision, regardless of appearances, it will take root and grow into form. There is no power in the outer world greater than your inner world. You do not need permission, credentials, or the approval of others to imagine a new reality. You need only your attention, your belief, and your willingness to feel it as done. Imagination is the first step, the middle step, and the final step. Everything flows from it. For everything flows from it. So the next time you find yourself doubting, worrying, or waiting for proof. Stop. Go within. Create the scene you desire. Make it vivid. See it, hear it, touch it, feel it, and then rest in the knowing that it is done. The outer world will soon follow, because it must. Imagination is the only reality. The rest is reflection. Words are not harmless sounds drifting into the air. They are seeds. Each word carries vibration, intention, and direction. Every time you speak, whether aloud or silently to yourself, you are giving a command to the unseen forces that govern your reality. You are shaping your world through the power of speech. For speech is not merely communication, it is creation. You may not realize it, but the life you live today is the result of the words you spoke yesterday, the conversations you had with others, the silent declarations you made to yourself, the labels you accepted. All of it has contributed to the structure of your reality. When you say, "I can't," "I'm tired," "it never works out for me," you are not merely describing your life. You are writing the script that life must follow. You are assigning roles to people, assigning conditions to your future, and limiting your possibilities. This is why it is vital to guard your words. Speak only what you wish to see. If you desire abundance, let your words reflect wealth and sufficiency. If you seek love, let your speech be full of tenderness, confidence, and harmony. If you long for healing, do not speak of illness as if it owns you. Declare yourself whole, even if the outer world has not yet caught up. You are not lying when you do this. You are creating. You are speaking from the end. You are calling those things that are not seen as though they are, and by spiritual law they must appear. The spoken word is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. When repeated with belief and emotion, it becomes a force that rearranges circumstances, draws people, and opens doors. Look around you. Listen to how people speak. You will notice that those who constantly talk about problems continue to live in them. Those who speak with faith, clarity, and expectation, even when nothing around them seems to support it, often find that life bends in their favor. Why? Because speech is not passive, it is a tool, a weapon, a builder. When you affirm something, you are not simply wishing. You are anchoring that reality within yourself. You are feeding it energy. You are confirming its existence in your consciousness. And what you consistently confirm in consciousness must become your experience in the world. This is why affirmations, when done with feeling and persistence, are so powerful. They are not magic, they are alignment. They train the subconscious mind to accept a new truth. And the subconscious, once impressed, begins to express. It will shape your habits, influence your decisions, and guide you toward actions and outcomes that reflect your affirmed reality. But it works both ways. Negative affirmations, statements of fear, doubt, or lack are just as powerful. If you say, "I never get what I want," the subconscious believes you and ensures that this truth is played out. If you say, "I'm not worthy," the world will show you reflections of that belief over and over. Not because it is true, but because you made it true through repetition. So speak with intention. Make your words a sacred ritual. Let your mouth become the doorway through which only blessings pass. When you speak, do it from the feeling that it is already done. Say, "I am successful. I am loved. Everything works in my favor." And do not wait for the world to prove it. Say it until the world has no choice. There is no need to beg or plead. Speak as one who knows. Speak as the creator, not the victim. Because every word you say, whether whispered in solitude or declared boldly to the world, is a blueprint. And life, in perfect obedience, builds from it. So speak wisely. Speak powerfully. Speak as though you already are what you seek. For in truth you are. And your words will make it so. Thought alone is not enough. You may entertain 1,000 ideas, visualize the grandest images, and repeat countless affirmations. But unless you feel the reality of what you seek, nothing changes. Feeling is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the secret ingredient that gives life to your desires. Without it, the desire remains a shadow, unformed and unclaimed. Or with it, deep, sustained, emotional feeling. You awaken the creative power within, and what was once unseen begins to move into form. You must understand, the universe responds not to what you say, but to what you feel to be true. Your inner world is not governed by words alone, but by the emotional atmosphere behind those words. You can say, "I am wealthy" 100 times, but if underneath you feel lack, anxiety, or disbelief, the dominant vibration is still poverty. It is not your lips that create, it is your heart. It is the emotion that surrounds the thought that gives it its power. What you feel becomes your experience, because feeling is the language of the subconscious mind. The subconscious does not reason, argue, or debate. It simply accepts what you emotionally dwell in as fact. When you feel successful, even before outer success appears, your subconscious begins to move the pieces. It starts the invisible process of drawing into your life all that matches your dominant state. That feeling of success creates a vibration, and that vibration becomes your magnetic field. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are, and you are what you feel. This is why it is essential to live from the end, to step into the state of the wish fulfilled, not as a distant hope, but as a present reality. You must ask yourself, if this desire were already mine, how would I feel? And then you must assume that feeling now. Wear it like a garment. Let it shape your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Even when appearances say otherwise, stay loyal to the feeling, because the outer world will shift in time. It must, so long as you remain consistent in your inner state. Most people reverse this process. They wait to feel successful until the money comes, wait to feel loved until someone shows up, wait to feel secure until the world offers guarantees. But the law does not work this way. You must feel first. The inner precedes the outer. When you generate the feeling within, the outer world molds itself accordingly. The mirror cannot change until the reflection changes. And the reflection is shaped by your emotional state. This is not about pretending. This is not about forcing happiness or ignoring pain. It is about choosing to dwell in the feeling of your desired reality. Not because the world tells you it is real, but because your heart declares it so. And when your feeling becomes dominant, when it becomes the atmosphere you carry throughout your day, it becomes the seed from which your new reality grows. Practice it. Before sleep, enter the scene of your fulfilled desire. See it, yes, but more importantly, feel it. Feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude, the certainty. Let your body relax into it as though it were already done. And as you fall asleep in that state, your subconscious takes over. It begins to mold the dream and eventually the waking world to match what you felt to be true. You are not waiting for the world to give you permission to feel. You are the one who sets the tone. The world is only your echo. If you wish to change the echo, change the original sound. That sound is your feeling. So feel wisely, feel deliberately, feel as one who already has. And you will find that the world, like a faithful servant, will rearrange itself to match your inner command. Because in the end, it is not the thought that creates. It is the feeling behind the thought that brings it to life. To assume the end boldly is to declare within yourself, it is already done. Not someday, not eventually, but now. This inner knowing is not mere wishful thinking. It is an act of spiritual confidence. It is the creative act itself. When you assume the end, you bypass all questions of how, when, or why. You walk directly into the reality of your desire, not as a seeker, but as one who already possesses it. This is the difference between hoping and knowing. Hoping places your desire somewhere in the future, always just beyond reach. Knowing brings it into the present, into your consciousness, and makes it real within. And because all things are first created in consciousness, once it is real within you, the outer world must follow. Think of a winning ticket. If someone handed it to you and said, "You've won," you would not continue to wonder whether or not you were chosen. You would not beg, plead, or try to earn it. You would claim it. You would begin to live in the feeling of what that ticket now means for your life. You might smile differently, walk differently, speak differently. Why? Because inwardly your state has shifted. Your world is the same, but you are not the same in it. That is what assuming the end does. It shifts your identity. And identity is everything. The world reflects back to you who you believe yourself to be. When you assume the end, you are taking on the identity of the version of yourself who already has what you desire. You begin to think as that version, act as that version, feel as that version. You no longer react to life from your old state of lack or longing. You respond from fulfillment. This is not about pretending. It's about embodying. Pretending is fragile. It breaks when the outer world contradicts it. But embodiment is rooted in conviction. Even when appearances remain unchanged, the one who lives from the end stands firm. They are not swayed by the shadows of the old. They walk by inner vision, not outer sight. To live from the end is to mentally reside in the house you've already built in imagination. You decorate it, you feel the warmth of its light, you walk its halls. You welcome your desire, not as a stranger you're hoping to meet, but as a friend already home. This requires faith, not blind faith, but the faith that sees with the inner eye. It is the kind of faith that says, though I see no evidence yet, I know it is mine. And because you know it, your energy shifts. That shift is the cause. The effect will follow as surely as night follows day. The mistake most people make is to keep looking for proof. They pray, they affirm, they visualize, and then they open their eyes and search for signs. But in doing so, they return to the old state, the state of not yet. They undo their own work. To assume the end boldly is to rest, to walk through the world with the quiet assurance that it is already settled, that the unseen is more real than the seen, that the roots are growing even before the flower appears. Speak, think, and move as the one who already has. Let that assumption guide your decisions, shape your habits, and filter your responses. Do not ask, "Is it working?" Instead, declare, "It is done." Every time doubt whispers, return to the end. Let it become your dwelling place. Let it define your mood, your posture, your thoughts. For the truth is this: the winning ticket is already yours. It was never withheld. You are not waiting for it to arrive. You are awakening to the fact that it has already been given. And the moment you boldly assume that it is so, everything begins to shift. The world rearranges, time bends, circumstances align, not because you forced it, but because you claimed it. Live from the end, and you will discover that the end was always yours. There are moments in life when everything changes, not because the world shifts, but because you speak one phrase with such clarity, such certainty, that it breaks the pattern of doubt and aligns you with your true power. Words are not idle. They are not mere sounds escaping the mouth. They are vessels charged with the energy of the speaker, and when spoken with belief, they pierce through fear and call forth a new reality. is a single statement, when accepted with conviction, is more powerful than years of struggle. It is not the quantity of affirmations that transforms your life, it is the quality of the consciousness behind them. One phrase, truly believed, repeated not with desperation but with authority, can alter the course of your existence, not because of the words themselves, but because of the energy they carry. Words are seeds, and when planted in the fertile soil of unwavering belief, they yield an inevitable harvest. Imagine saying, "I am free." If you whisper it without feeling, it is but air passing over lips. But if you declare it from the depths of your being, as if it were the final verdict on your life, chains fall off, limitations dissolve, you stand taller, breathe deeper. Why? Because the phrase has reached beyond your conscious mind and touched the place where reality is made, the subconscious. The subconscious is impressionable. It does not analyze or critique. It accepts what you feed it, especially when emotion is present. That is why statements said with belief are so powerful. They imprint directly on the inner mind. And once that inner mind accepts the new truth, the outer world has no choice but to conform. This is the creative law. You do not beg the world to change. You declare the change within yourself. You speak it boldly, not to make it true, but because it is already true in the realm of consciousness. And the world is only a mirror. Speak lack, and the mirror shows you more lack. Speak abundance, wholeness, victory, and in time the mirror reflects that too. Many people speak without awareness. They say things casually, "I'm broke, I'm tired, nothing ever works out for me," and wonder why their life follows the same painful pattern. But if they only knew the power of a single, conscious declaration, everything would shift. Say instead, "I always succeed." Say it until it feels like your breath. Say it until every cell in your body vibrates with its truth. Then step back and watch how the universe echoes that statement. You do not have to understand how it will come to pass. That is not your concern. Your only task is to speak the truth of your desire as if it were already your present experience. I am loved. I am healed. I am chosen. All things are working in my favor. Choose one. Make it your anchor. Return to it when fear arises. Repeat it when the mind drifts. Declare it when nothing outside supports it. This is true power. The moment you commit to one statement and embody it fully, everything unlike it begins to dissolve. Old beliefs rise to be released. People, places, and conditions rearrange themselves. Not by force, but by law. Because what you believe and declare with feeling must become the substance of your life. This is not about shouting louder. It is about speaking from the knowing. Whisper it if you must, but let that whisper carry the weight of certainty. Let your statement become a sacred mantra, a point of alignment between who you were and who you are becoming. Speak it, feel it, own it. But one statement, infused with belief, can move mountains. It can open doors. It can raise the dead parts of your life and breathe new purpose into them. Never underestimate the power of your voice when it is in harmony with your inner conviction. Your world is listening. Say it and watch it become. And so you stand now at the threshold of a new reality, not one you must chase or strive to earn, but one that has always belonged to you. The winning ticket is already yours. The moment you recognize this, everything begins to change, not outside first, but within. You possess the power to create through imagination, to mold life with your words, to transform through feeling, and to walk boldly as though it is already done. You are not here to beg, to wish, or to wait. You are here to remember that what you seek is already seeking you, that your desire is not a hope, it is a fact in the unseen, waiting only for your assumption. Speak it, feel it, live it, and never waver. For one statement, one inner decision made in confidence can redirect your entire destiny. Say this now, not as a request, but as a decree. It is done. I have it now. Thank you. My friends, there comes a time in the soul's journey when it must stop reaching outward and instead turn inward. The moment you stop begging, stop chasing, and begin to embody the truth of who you are, you become the prize. What you call reality is only a reflection. The world you see is nothing more than a mirror, dutifully projecting the state you dwell in. If you see rejection, lack, or indifference, it is not punishment, but a signpost guiding you back home, back to your inner assumption. Do not plead for love, recognition, or wealth. For when you beg, you affirm you do not have. And what you affirm with feeling, you perpetuate. When you chase, you confess something is running from you. But the truth is, nothing runs from the one who rests in their own worth. You must cease to identify with the one who lacks, and instead assume the role of the one who is. Be the woman who is already cherished. Be the man who is already prosperous. Be the soul that is already whole. And from that state, the world rearranges itself. All transformation begins within. You need not convince anyone, you need not prove anything. There is no one to change but self. As your self-concept shifts, so too does the conduct of others toward you. They reflect your inner conviction. You are the prize when you no longer seek validation. You are the prize when you no longer fear loss. You are the prize when you know, truly know, that you are enough. So stop calling, stop pleading, stop explaining. You need not run after anything, instead retreat inward. Close your eyes and see yourself as the one who already possesses what once seemed far away. Feel the thrill of being chosen, celebrated, fulfilled. And as you persist in this state, the world will catch up. You were never meant to chase. You were born to radiate. And what you radiate in consciousness, you attract in form. Walk not with desperation, but with certainty. Carry the stillness of the one who knows that all things are drawn to them. Speak not to convince the world, but to affirm your dominion over it. Do not beg. Do not chase. Just become the prize, and the world, powerless to do otherwise, will follow. All that you see in the outer world is nothing but a mirror reflecting back the ideas you hold to be true about yourself. There is no outer world independent of your inner assumptions. What appears is your environment, your relationships, your financial circumstances, your body. These are but shadows cast by the light of your inner state. If you look outward for confirmation before you have inwardly accepted something to be real, you will wait in vain. But the moment you claim it inwardly, not as a wish or a fantasy, but as a fact, then and only then will the world move to reflect that new truth. Man is not a victim of circumstances, but their author. The power to shape your world is not found in action, effort, or manipulation of others, but in the quiet, invisible act of assumption. If you would dare to believe something about yourself, even if all appearances contradict it, and dwell in that assumption as if it were already true, the outer world would bend to your inner conviction. It must, for the law that governs this universe is one of correspondence. As within, so without. Most fail not because they lack resources or opportunity, but because they continue to identify with a self that is limited, unworthy, or broken. They pray for change while remaining inwardly the same. They ask for abundance while affirming lack. They long for love while feeling unseen and unlovable. But the universe does not respond to words, it responds to states. And your state is determined by your conception of self. Ask yourself, Who am I being right now in consciousness? Am I the version of myself that is already whole, already successful, already loved? Or am I still waiting to become that? If you are waiting, you have placed the power outside of yourself. And so it remains always out of reach. To become in consciousness what you desire to be is to claim your desire as already fulfilled. It is to feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled and remain faithful to it, even when nothing around you confirms it. This is the great discipline. This is the true creative act. The world is not fixed. It is fluid. It is ever responding to your inner state. If you would change your world, do not try to force conditions into shape. Instead, retire inward, close your eyes to the seeming facts, and look with the eye of imagination. See yourself as the person you wish to be, not someday now. Live there in thought, in feeling, in expectation. When you become it in consciousness, the world must conform. People will play their parts to bring it to pass. Circumstances will shift. Doors will open. Why? Because they are not the cause, they are the effect. The cause was your assumption, quietly planted and faithfully nurtured within. So remember, do not react to what appears. Instead, act from the state of your chosen reality. Live inwardly as if you were already who you want to be. And the world will mirror that back to you in ways both subtle and miraculous. Everything begins and ends within you. Assume wisely. When you chase after something, you declare with your energy that you do not have it. When you beg, you affirm to yourself and to the unseen laws of life that you are separate from what you desire. And so, though you may run tirelessly toward a goal, or plead with the world to grant your request, all you truly achieve is the reinforcement of your own sense of lack. In the unseen realm, your inner state is the only cause. If you feel desperate, you receive more situations that mirror desperation. If you feel needy, life will echo back conditions that reflect that need. It is not the words you speak, nor the effort you apply, but the quiet, consistent vibration of your state of being that shapes your world. To dwell instead of seek is to step into a higher understanding. It is to recognize that what you long for is not far away, but already exists in the eternal now, and your only task is to inhabit the state where it is already yours. That is the secret doorway, not striving, not proving, not convincing anyone of your worth, but dwelling in the consciousness of the fulfilled desire. Living in the feeling of already being who you want to be. There is a great stillness that accompanies this shift, a quiet knowing that eliminates the anxiety of pursuit. You no longer seek love, you dwell in the state of being loved. You no longer chase wealth, you dwell in the state of abundance. And from that dwelling place you magnetize what is yours by right of consciousness. You become the embodiment of the thing you once pursued, and the world can do nothing but reflect it back. To dwell is not to pretend, nor is it to passively wait. It is a conscious assumption, a deliberate inner stance. You must feel the naturalness of already having what you seek. Ask yourself, if I already had it, how would I feel? How would I move? What would I no longer need to do? Then begin to think from that place. Speak from that place. Act from that place. Not to make it happen, but because it is already so in the unseen. This is the great paradox. When you stop chasing, what you desire begins to come to you. Why? Because in stopping, you align with the vibration of having. You no longer resist it with doubt or fear or effort. You welcome it into your world because you have become a match to it. The mind will often resist this truth. It wants to do, to fix, to control. But the heart knows a different language, the language of being, and being is more powerful than doing. When you be the one who already has, the world reorganizes itself accordingly. Opportunities arise, people shift, circumstances unfold, All because your dwelling place has changed. So stop seeking. Stop asking if it's coming. Stop watching the clock or comparing yourself to others. Dwell instead. Dwell in the end. Dwell in the peace that comes with knowing it is already yours. This is the way. This is the secret. Dwell and you shall receive. You are the operant power. There is no outside force arranging your life. No person, condition, or fate has authority over your inner world unless you grant it power through belief. The great truth is this: all transformation begins within, for there is no one to change but self. The world around you is not a separate entity acting independently. It is a faithful mirror, reflecting your own self-concept back to you in countless forms. Every relationship, every outcome, every encounter is shaped by your inner assumptions. Most people look outside themselves and say, if only they would change, if only my circumstances were different, if only the world would respond better to me. And so they wait, they plead, they fight with shadows. But what they fail to see is that what appears as the outer world is only an echo. And you cannot change the echo without first changing the sound that produced it. When you change your self-concept, your deep habitual beliefs about who you are and what is possible for you, everything outside you begins to shift. People will treat you differently, opportunities will appear, events will line up with your new assumption. Why? Because the world has no choice but to reflect the version of yourself you are now embodying. Suppose you believe yourself to be undeserving. No matter how much you affirm with words or how hard you try, if you persist in the inner story of unworthiness, the world will comply. It will deny you, not because it judges you, but because it obeys you. You are the command center, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Your state of being speaks louder than any action or spoken desire. Now suppose you adopt a new identity, quietly, persistently, with feeling. You assume the role of someone who is worthy, someone who is chosen, someone who is loved and successful. You don't wait for the world to tell you it's true. You decide it's true now. And from this new place of being, the world must shift. It may not happen overnight, but it must happen because the outer is compelled to match the inner. This truth demands responsibility. It is far easier to blame than to transform. It is more comfortable to wait for change than to become it. But those who grasp this law and live by it begin to understand a power they never knew they possessed. They no longer seek permission or validation. They withdraw attention from the outer world and tend to the garden of their mind, knowing that all fruit will grow from its soil. Do not concern yourself with how others behave. Do not waste energy trying to force outcomes. Instead, turn within and ask, what am I assuming about myself? That assumption is the source. There is no exception to this. You are not at the mercy of the world. You are its architect. You do not react to conditions, you create them, subtly and continuously through the state you occupy. So take hold of your power, cease waiting, stop blaming, become in consciousness what you desire to see reflected, and you will watch in quiet wonder as the world confirms what you have dared to believe. You are the operant power. There is no one to change but self. The prize does not pursue. It does not chase, it does not beg, and it does not plead for attention or recognition. A true prize simply is. It rests in its value. It knows its worth. And from this place of calm assurance, it draws to itself all that corresponds to its nature. You too must come to understand this. You are not here to run after what is already yours by divine right. You are not meant to grasp or grovel, for that is not the language of the one who knows they are chosen. When you chase, you say with your energy, it is not mine. When you pursue with desperation, you are affirming lack, not abundance. But you were never made to live in lack. You were not created to be less than or left behind. What is meant for you does not need to be hunted, it must simply be received. And the only preparation required is inner alignment. Not striving, not efforting, but dwelling in the knowing that you are the prize. To be the prize is not arrogance, it is truth remembered. It is not superiority over others, it is recognition of your own divinity, your innate wholeness. When you embody the feeling of already having what you once desired, when you radiate the calm of fulfillment rather than the anxiety of pursuit, you shift from the frequency of longing to the frequency of attraction. And attraction is effortless when the inner state is solidified. Those who understand this law do not chase, they allow. They do not question when or how. It is not their concern. Their work is only to dwell, to remain faithful to the assumption of already being, already having, already becoming. And through this faith, the unseen world moves. People appear, circumstances align, paths open, all without strain, all without force. You do not need to become louder to be seen, nor more visible to be acknowledged. You simply need to know who you are and live as if you already have what you desire. This is not make-believe. It is creation in its highest form. You are not playing pretend. You are practicing the truth until it manifests in form. And as you do, the energy around you changes, the vibration you emit shifts, and that shift is your true work. The prize never steps down to be chosen. It never explains, never proves, never persuades. The prize radiates, and those who are meant to recognize its worth are drawn to it. In the same way, you must stop lowering your standards to be accepted, stop diluting your like to be like, and stop abandoning your dignity for approval. You are not meant to chase after crumbs when the banquet has already been prepared for you. Be still, be certain, rest in your worth. There is a magnetic power in stillness, a holy gravity in quiet confidence. This is how you receive, not by chasing, but by becoming the one who is no longer in search, because they know the search has ended within. The prize does not pursue, it attracts. So stand firm in your knowing. What is yours is not running from you, it is waiting for you to stop running from yourself. Feeling is the secret, not thought alone, not mere repetition of words, but the emotional conviction behind them. It is not enough to say you are wealthy, loved, successful. You must feel it. The emotion you embody, the inner atmosphere you cultivate, is what molds the unseen into the seen. Feeling is not a reaction to the world, it is the cause of the world you experience. Creation begins in the inner realm, and feeling is its power source. If you persist in the feeling of lack, even while affirming abundance, lack will still shape your world. If you speak of love but feel unworthy of it, your world will reflect that unworthiness. But if you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, truly take on the emotional state of already being what you desire to be, you will witness the outer world conform to that inner truth. It is not about forcing feelings, nor is it about pretending. It is about allowing yourself to dwell in the emotional tone of fulfillment. Ask yourself, if I already had what I seek, how would I feel? What would my days feel like? How would I carry myself? How would I breathe, speak, and move through the world? These are not idle questions. They are gateways. When you answer them sincerely and allow your body and heart to align with the feeling of the answer, you step into the creative act. Emotion impresses the subconscious. It bypasses the surface mind and seeds the deeper soil from which reality springs. This is why dramatizing lack only recreates more of it. Worry is imagination clothed in fear. Gratitude, on the other hand, is imagination clothed in fulfillment. The more you feel from the end, the more that end becomes inevitable. Many wait for their world to change before they allow themselves to feel differently, but that is inversion. Feeling must come first. You must summon the feeling before the evidence, and trust that the evidence will arrive in perfect time. This is faith, not blind belief, but inner knowing. It is the still confidence that what you feel consistently and deeply must outpicture itself in form. Feelings are not mere reactions, they are tools. You are not at the mercy of emotions. You are their master when you become conscious of them. You can choose what to dwell on. You can shift from fear to confidence, from doubt to knowing, from longing to fulfillment. And each time you do, you rewrite the script of your life. Let your imagination be alive with feeling. Let your visions be soaked in the emotion of already done. When you close your eyes and see the life you desire, feel the joy of it, the peace, the confidence. Let your body believe it's real, and your mind will follow. Let your world be built not on effort, but on feeling. Feeling is the secret. It is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the law beneath all creation. Assume the feeling of being who you wish to be, and do it consistently, quietly, faithfully, and you will see that from this state, all things flow. It's mastery. It is not indifference, nor is it apathy. It is spiritual sovereignty. It is the quiet power of one who no longer lives at the mercy of appearances. To detach is to reclaim authority over your reality. It is to withdraw your emotional dependence on conditions and anchor yourself within. When you no longer need something to show up in order to feel secure, you have entered the realm of true creation. Most live as slaves to the external. They wait for the world to change before they permit themselves to feel differently. But this is bondage. It is to say, I am only as happy, safe, or worthy as the world allows me to be. And so they chase, they beg, they react. But the one who has mastered detachment knows better. They understand that all things begin within. The outer is nothing more than a delayed echo of the inner state. When you let go of the outer and live inwardly, you become cause rather than effect. You shift your awareness from what is to what is becoming. This is not escape, it is alignment. The outer world is slow and dense. The inner world is immediate and pliable. And once the inner is secured, once the feeling of the wish fulfilled is assumed and maintained, the outer must comply. It has no choice, for it is a shadow cast by the light of your consciousness. Detachment is not about giving up your desire. It is about surrendering the anxiety around its outcome. You still hold the vision. You still dwell in the feeling. But you are no longer desperate. You no longer need to control, to force, or to cling. You have moved into trust. You know that what you claim within must appear without, and so you walk in calm expectancy. This is the highest form of faith, not hope, but knowing. And in this knowing, all things flow effortlessly. You are no longer swimming against the current. You are in rhythm with the law. The very act of detachment signals to the subconscious mind that the desire is already fulfilled. If it were not, you would still be striving. But because you are at peace, the mind takes this as confirmation and sets into motion all necessary bridges of events. Understand this: energy of lack repels, energy of fulfillment attracts. Clinging and neediness declare to the universe, I do not have. But when you rest, when you relax, when you confidently let go, you are saying, it is already done. And the world mirrors back this declaration in its own time and form. Let go of the timelines, let go of the how, let go of needing others to agree, approve, or assist. None of that is your work. Your only task is to maintain the inner state, to return again and again, to the feeling of already being who you wish to be. That is the root. The fruit will follow. Detachment is mastery. It is the mark of one who understands the creative process. It is the shift from force to flow, from striving to receiving. Let go of the outer and live inwardly. Everything you desire is already yours in consciousness. Dwell there, and the world will take shape around your inner certainty. So now you must remember this. You are not here to beg. You are not meant to chase. You are here to become, and in becoming you attract. You do not run after what is yours. You align with it. The world is but a mirror reflecting your self-concept, and the moment you assume the feeling of the fulfilled wish, the reflection must change. Be still. Dwell in the end. Detach from how and when. And know this above all. There is no power outside of you. The treasure is not in the distance. It is in your own consciousness. Stop seeking it in the world. Start realizing it in yourself. You are the prize. And the moment you realize it, the world must rise to meet you. Thank you for listening. Stay rooted in your vision, faithful in feeling, and calm in knowing. All is well, and all is unfolding in your favor. There is a truth so simple, so powerful, it requires no effort to be understood, only surrender. It is this: you do not need to beg for what is already yours. You were not created to chase anything. You are not a servant of circumstance. You are its master. You are not required to fight for the life you desire. You are required only to assume it is already so. The world responds not to your desperation, but to your inner conviction. When you beg, you speak from lack. When you chase, you declare it is not yet yours. But when you feel deeply, quietly, confidently that it is already done, you move the entire universe to bring it forth. Everything begins in the unseen, the invisible reality you cultivate within. Your thoughts, your inner speech, your silent knowing. That is the real seed. You don't water a garden by pleading for it to grow. You water it by knowing it is growing. Step into the version of yourself who already possesses what you once sought. Walk, speak, and live as that version, not pretending, but accepting. To the world it may look like stillness, but in truth, it is the most powerful movement of all, creation from within. No longer do you need to reach outward. The moment you feel it real, it is done. Not tomorrow, not in some distant future, now. In that moment of feeling, the bridge begins to form. The unseen is already organizing, shaping, bending reality to reflect your inner world. So rest. Rest in the knowing. Stop asking if it's working. Stop chasing signs. Stop doubting the power that lives within you. Feel it done. Feel it real. And then allow it to come. You are not a beggar in the kingdom of your own mind. You are the author, the ruler, the dreamer of dreams. Don't beg. Don't chase. Just feel it happen, and so it shall be. The world you experience is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Everything you see, touch, feel, and know is a reflection of the inner state you continuously occupy. There is no power outside of you shaping your destiny without your consent. The secret lies in this unshakable truth. Imagination creates reality. Not someday, not if you're lucky, but always now without fail. You were born with a gift far more powerful than force or effort. It is the power to imagine and believe. And when you dare to imagine from the end, from the place where your desire is already fulfilled. You awaken a law so certain it cannot be broken. You stop living as a victim of chance and begin to walk as the conscious creator of your world. Most people imagine in response to what they see. They observe the current circumstances and then they react. But to live that way is to remain a prisoner of what already is. Nothing new can emerge from that loop. But the one who turns away from appearances and begins to feel into a new state, a new possibility, a new version of self, that person alters everything. It is not enough to simply wish. Wishing comes from separation. It says, I don't have this. It keeps the desire at a distance. But when you imagine from the state of already having it, you claim ownership. You no longer need it to come because you have accepted it as done. And what is accepted inwardly must be reflected outwardly, for the world can only mirror what lives within. You might say, but I don't see it yet. And I say to you, you do not plant a seed and dig it up each day to see if it's growing. You trust the invisible process. The same is true here. Once you have imagined vividly, once you have felt the joy, the peace, the confidence of the fulfilled desire, let it be. Do not return to worry. Do not return to lack. Instead, return to the feeling. Feel it again and again. Occupy the new state until it becomes more familiar than the old. This is not fantasy. This is creation. This is the very method by which your life has always unfolded, whether knowingly or unknowingly. The only difference now is that you choose to do it deliberately. You choose to turn away from the noise of doubt, from the evidence of the senses, and you turn within to the quiet, sacred space of imagination. There is no begging in this space, there is no chasing, there is no struggle. There is only assumption. And assumption, when persisted in, becomes fact. It may not happen instantly, but it must happen, because the outer world must yield to the inner conviction. So whatever it is you long for, love, abundance, freedom, peace, see it now, not with your eyes, but with your spirit. Feel it now, not as a dream to chase, but as a reality to accept. Assume it is already yours. Walk in that state. Speak from that state. Think from that state, and the world will echo back exactly what you dared to believe. There is a sacred power that lies not in effort, not in action, but in feeling. Emotion is not something to be controlled or silenced. It is the golden key, the hidden bridge between what is invisible and what becomes visible. Your feelings are not passive, they are creative. Every time you feel something deeply, you impress it upon the unseen realm, and from that impression, your outer world is formed. This is the mystery so few understand. Feeling is the secret. It is not enough to say the words. It is not enough to hold a desire in your mind like a distant hope. You must feel it in your heart as if it were already real. You must sink into the joy, the satisfaction, the relief of having the thing now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Because now is the only moment where creation begins. People often try to manifest from a place of force, reciting affirmations without emotion, visualizing without connection. But unless the feeling accompanies the thought, it is lifeless. It is the feeling that breathes life into the image. It is the emotion that gives substance to the unseen. Thought is the mold, but feeling is the fire that sets it. Ask yourself, how would I feel if it were already done? What would peace feel like if the money had already arrived, if the love was already mine, if the healing had already occurred? That feeling is not just a preview, it is not just a daydream. It is the act of creation itself. You do not need to beg the universe. You do not need to struggle. You only need to feel. And feel consistently, not for hours, but with depth, Even a moment of true, sincere feeling carries more power than 1,000 hollow repetitions. Just as a single spark can ignite an entire forest, one moment of true belief can shift your entire world. The reason why many people struggle is because they try to create while holding on to doubt. They feel the lack more than the fulfillment. They imagine the desire, but emotionally live in fear of it not happening. And so the result matches the emotion, not the thought. The universe does not respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. And what you are is defined by what you feel. To change your life, change your emotional state. Let the feeling of the wish fulfilled become your home. Let it be the place you return to throughout the day. Even when the world looks the same, do not be moved. Your job is not to fix the outer, it is to feel the inner. And in time, the outer must bend. It must match the vibration you sustain. When you feel it real, the unseen is already in motion. Paths are opening, circumstances are shifting, but you may not see it yet. And that's fine. The seed does not sprout the moment it's planted, but it grows. And it grows because the feeling was planted deeply. So feel now. Feel as if it's already yours. Let the feeling carry you, guide you, comfort you. And know, truly know, that this feeling is not fantasy. It is creation. It is alignment. And it is the secret that makes the invisible become seen. To live in the end is to stop looking forward to your desire and start looking from it. This is the difference between longing and receiving, between delay and manifestation. As long as you are hoping and wishing, you are affirming that what you want is not yet yours. You are living in separation. But the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you cross the threshold. You are no longer on the outside looking in. You are dwelling in the very state that calls the unseen into form. Living in the end means occupying the state of consciousness where your desire has already been fulfilled. It's not about pretending or forcing. It's about surrendering to the reality that already exists within. You do not try to make it happen. You assume it is already done. You see the world through new eyes, because from your new state, everything must reflect your inner knowing. This is not a technique of force. It's not a mental trick. It is a quiet but powerful shift. It is turning inward and saying, "This is who I am now." It is letting go of striving, of trying to become, and instead resting in being. You are no longer becoming wealthy, you are wealthy. You are no longer trying to find love, you are already loved. You do not wait for peace. To live in the end is to rearrange your entire identity, and your identity determines your world. You cannot dwell in lack and receive abundance. You cannot feel lonely and attract connection. What you are within is always what is revealed without. So ask yourself not what you want, but who you would be if it were already true. Once you answer that, begin living from that version of yourself, not as a role, not as an act, but as truth. This is the secret few dare to embrace because it requires you to abandon the evidence of the senses. The outer world may tell you it's not done. Your bank account may disagree. Your circumstances may protest. But you do not yield to appearances. You yield only to your inner state. And when you persist in that state, the outer must conform. This is not a matter of time, it is a matter of faith. Faith is not hoping things will improve. Faith is knowing they already have. When you live in the end, you stop checking, you stop doubting, you stop asking when. The only question that remains is, am I feeling from the end? If the answer is yes, then trust the process. The bridge of incidents will appear. Life will rearrange itself to reflect your new assumption. You don't have to figure out how. The how is not your role. Your role is to dwell in the feeling of it being done, consistently, gently, without strain. So release the need to fix the outer. Release the habit of waiting. Begin now. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and place yourself at the end. See it, feel it, own it. Walk in that state, speak from that identity, and watch as reality reshapes itself to mirror who you have become within. This is the power. This is the key. This is the way. Live in the end and let the rest unfold. The law does not respond to begging, wishing, or even asking. It responds to being. This is the great truth hidden in plain sight. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. The universe is not moved by desperation. It is not persuaded by effort. It is completely neutral, mirroring back to you the state of consciousness you consistently occupy. Desire is not wrong. It is the spark. But desire must be followed by assumption. To remain in a state of wanting is to remain in a state of lack. Wanting says, it is not here yet. And the law, ever faithful, reflects that state back as delay, as absence. You are not punished for your desire. You are simply met with the echo of your own inner state. What many fail to understand is that the law is not listening to your words. It is feeling your vibration. It is reading the silent message you carry within you at all times. That message is written not in thoughts alone, but in the deep emotional tone of your being. If you feel incomplete, you will see experiences that confirm your incompleteness. If you feel abundant, even in the smallest way, that seed will be mirrored in the events and circumstances around you. To shift your world, you must shift your identity. Stop asking, when will it happen? And begin asking, who am I being? This is the true work. To become the one who already has what they once sought, not through force, but through surrender. Not by pretending, but by assuming. When you assume the state of already having, you bypass the illusion of time. You declare that the thing you seek is already yours, and because you live from that truth, the world has no choice but to fall in line. You speak differently, you move differently, you think and feel and walk in a way that matches the result, not the process. And that difference, that inner alignment, is the signal that shapes the outer form. You may say, but I don't feel like I have it. Then begin small. Imagine how you would feel if it were true. Not in some distant future, but now. Take that feeling and wear it throughout your day like a new coat. Let it become familiar. Let it become normal. That emotional familiarity is what solidifies your new identity. And once your identity is stable, the world reflects it with precision. The law is simple. Be, and it shall be given. You do not need to push or strive. You do not need to explain or justify. You only need to step into the role. Be the one who is already loved. Be the one who is already successful. Be the one who is already healed, already free, already chosen. Your world is the printout of your self-concept. Change that and you change everything. You don't wait for proof, you become the proof. The outer world is not cause, it is effect. The cause lives within. And when you master that inner state, the outer must obey. So stop wanting and start being. Speak as one who has received. Move as one who has arrived. Feel as one who is fulfilled. For the law responds not to want, but only to what you have dared to become. Persistence in assumption is the silent strength that turns possibility into certainty. It is not loud. It does not beg. It does not argue with appearances. It quietly, stubbornly, and faithfully holds to the unseen truth. even when everything outside seems to say the opposite. This is where true power lies, not in forcing the world to change, but in refusing to be moved by what has not yet caught up to your inner state. When you assume a new reality, the outer world doesn't always shift immediately. There may be delay, resistance, or even the appearance of the opposite. But this is not failure. This is merely the old echo fading out. It is the shadow of your former self still playing its last scene. If you panic, doubt, or revert to your old mindset, you strengthen the very thing you are trying to move away from. But if you persist, if you remain loyal to your new state of being, the outer world must eventually yield. It is law. The truth is simple but profound. The world reflects the dominant assumption you carry within. Not a passing thought or a fleeting hope, but the deep, settled belief of who you are and what is true for you. That assumption, when held consistently, becomes your reality. But it must be held, not visited occasionally or tested to see if it's working, but inhabited as your dwelling place. This means walking through your days with the inner knowing that what you have assumed is already done, even if the bank account says otherwise, even if the person hasn't called, even if your body still feels the pain. You remain unmoved. You say within yourself, "This is just the old story fading. I know who I am now. I know what I have chosen to accept as true." And in that steadiness, you create. Persistence is not effort. It is not grinding or forcing. It is simply returning again and again to your inner vision, your inner conviction, your inner reality. It is choosing to believe your imagination over your senses. It is knowing that the unseen is more real than what appears, because what appears is always the result of what you have already accepted inwardly. This path requires discipline of mind, not through suppression but through awareness. When doubts arise, and they will, you don't fight them. You simply turn your attention back to your assumption. When fear creeps in, you don't panic, you breathe and you remember, I have already claimed this, it is already mine. You treat the inner world as sacred because you know it is the source of all that is to come. The one who persists is the one who wins, not because of luck, not because of effort, but because reality cannot help but conform to the dominant assumption. It has no choice. The outer must bend to the will that does not waver. So stay firm, stay inwardly convinced. See the result in your mind's eye until it becomes natural, until it feels familiar, until it is no longer a question, but a fact in your heart. Do not look for signs, become the sign. And trust deeply, calmly, completely, that what you hold within must be reflected without. For reality always yields to the one who dares to persist. Effort, in the way most people understand it, is resistance disguised as action. It is the attempt to force the outer world into compliance, as though creation were a matter of pushing pieces into place. But true manifestation is not a product of struggle. It is born from stillness, from certainty, from the effortless flow of being. You are not meant to chase what is yours. You are meant to align with it, feel it, and allow it. Chasing is rooted in lack. It declares to the universe, I do not have this yet, so I must pursue it. And in doing so, you affirm the very separation you're trying to eliminate. The more you chase, the further it feels. You may act, you may plan, you may move, but if your inner state is one of trying rather than being, you remain in a cycle of delay. But when you let go of effort, not action, but effort, you open the door to receive. You shift from pushing to trusting. You enter the flow. That flow isn't passive, it is receptive. It is the deep knowing that what is yours will find its way to you, not through strain, but through alignment. You no longer need to run toward your desire. you realize you're already standing where it belongs, within the feeling, within the state. Creation responds not to how hard you try, but to how real you feel it to be. When you feel it real, the world must organize itself to match your feeling. This is not about pretending. It is about surrendering into the reality you've chosen. When you no longer see it as separate, you stop trying to make it happen and begin to live as if it already has. Letting go of effort means releasing the need to manipulate outcomes. It means no longer checking the clock, scanning for signs, or seeking validation from the outer world. It is resting in the truth that it is already done. And that rest is powerful. That quiet trust is the foundation upon which all visible change is built. You are not meant to be in constant striving. You are meant to be in constant knowing. Action can and will come, but it will be inspired, not forced. You will be moved by intuition, nudged by clarity, led by peace. And those actions will carry far more power than 1,000 acts taken from doubt. Allowing the flow is not laziness. It is mastery. It is the wisdom of inner alignment over outer aggression. It is understanding that the self that knows it already has magnetizes what it desires, not because it begs, not because it pushes, but because it no longer stands in its own way. So stop chasing, pause, breathe, feel the reality you desire is already yours. Let it saturate your senses, not with strain but with ease. Say quietly to yourself, this is mine. I need not reach for it. I already contain it. And in that calm, in that certainty, you enter the current of the unseen, where all things flow from the inner to the outer. Let go. Allow. Feel it done. And watch how easily life brings to you what you once thought you had to chase. When you stop begging, stop chasing, and instead feel it real, everything changes. You move from hoping to knowing, from wanting to being. The outer world is no longer your master, but your mirror. You no longer live in reaction, but in creation. Assumption becomes your foundation. Feeling becomes your language, and persistence becomes your silent strength. You do not need to fight, convince, or wait. You need only to become. When you live in the end, when you know the law responds to who you are, not what you want, you walk in a quiet power. You shift from force to flow, and in that shift, life begins to unfold effortlessly, beautifully, faithfully. So let go of effort, embrace the stillness, feel it as already done, and trust completely that what is yours is already on its way, because it has no choice. You've already claimed it within. Thank you for listening.